Need a quick hit of inspiration, or maybe you're stuck in writer's block hell? I have 5 creative writing exercises that I think are going to break you out of that rut. Hi, my name is Natalie and I write books, and today I'm going to share a couple of creative writing prompts that always get me out of a rut when I just can't get the words to flow. I have been a part of many writing groups over the years, and when I was a teenager I started participating in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. People from all over the world joined together to write 50,000 words of a novel in just 31 days. It is a wild prospect. It is just as crazy as it sounds. And that is super hard to do, even if you are like wildly prepared. So my friends and I invented a couple writing exercises, writing games that we would use to get our fingers back on the keyboard, start typing again, and get the words to start flowing. I want to start with a little asterisk, which is these will not always produce beautiful prose. That's not the point of them. You know, they're not going to fix necessarily a plot hole that you're having trouble solving. The purpose of these is to get your fingers on the keyboard, to get the words coming out, and to get momentum. Oftentimes, the hardest part is getting started. This is about giving you exercises to get the words on the page, to get you moving towards something so that you can start your momentum, because momentum is everything. Exercise number 1 is include this line. So for this, you are going to grab the closest book to you, whatever it is. I just went to my shelf and grabbed Shiver. I'm going to flip to a random page. Don't overthink this. You are going to find the first full sentence on that page, and you are going to include it in the next 500 words of your novel. Don't overthink this. So if you get a sentence that doesn't make any sense in your novel, like maybe there's a technology that hasn't been invented yet in your world, or a character name that you don't have in your book, that's totally fine. I challenge you to use it anyway. But if you don't want to, I don't care. What am I gonna do? Choose another sentence. It's fine. The point of this exercise is to get you from point A, where you are now, to this sentence, point B. How can you fill in the stuff in between? Let's get the words moving on the page. If you're worried about plagiarism, let me stop you right here. That line is probably, very likely, not to make it in your final draft. And even if it does, it probably won't look anything like it does right now. Exercise number 2 is use the word of the day. Now, there are many resources out there that have a word of the day feature. There's dictionary.com, merriam-webster.com. Just Google word of the day and all of these are going to come up. On the day that I am filming this, the word of the day for the New York Times is forsake. It provides a definition and pronunciation. On dictionary.com, the word of the day is oxymoron. So in your next 500 words, you are going to use that word of the day organically in your scene. This gets your brain moving in a couple ways. How can you use this vocabulary in your world? How is it relevant to the scene you're writing? How can you make it relevant? If you want an extra challenge, you can always take multiple words of the day and try to use all of them in the next 500 words. I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's joined this community so far. You guys are awesome. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're interested in writing tips as well as my own writing journey, I would love for you to join our community too. If you're enjoying this video, if you could give it a thumbs up, it would mean a lot to me. Now, let's jump back into it. Exercise number 3 is local news clippings. Let me start by saying I don't necessarily recommend that you do this with the town you're actually from. I don't know about you, but I have anxiety and I don't necessarily want to know the local news in my town. But this exercise is very good for getting some ideas about what can happen next in your plot or what action you can put into a scene. I recommend choosing a town that you visited before, or maybe just heading to Google Maps and zooming in on a random town, and then heading to Google and typing in that town plus local news. Well, growing up, my family used to visit a town called Bethany Beach in Delaware. So if I type in Bethany Beach and local news, today's top news story is 5 sailors rescued near Bethany Beach due to possible carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, wild. I can go a few ways with this. I could do a literal water rescue, or I could have some type of sailor character appear. Maybe I could take the poisoning route, like maybe there's a poisoning in my story. Or I can have my character watch the news, see a similar story on the news, and have it spark like a memory of something that needs to be relevant in the story. Exercise number 4, 3 objects. Look around you and find the closest 3 objects to you right now. My water bottle, there's a pair of scissors right here, and a candle. So what can I do with those 3 things besides get a drink of water right now? My task is to take these 3 items and incorporate them all into the next scene that I am writing. So what can I do with a water bottle, scissors, and a candle? Maybe my character is working on a crafting project and she gets up to go to the kitchen to get a drink of water. And on her way back, she decides to light a candle, and that smell brings around a certain memory for her. Something like that. Honestly, the weirder the objects, the more fun the exercise can be. So whatever those 3 closest objects are for you, try not to like self-edit to find things that are normal. Like, it's fun to do weird things. Story of my life. Fun to do weird things. The last writing exercise I'm going to give you here is called Man with a Gun. Now, I did not invent this one. This is actually a piece of advice from the writer Raymond Chandler, who wrote like crime fiction, but it is great advice that I have used before. His actual quote is, "When in doubt, have a man come through a door with a gun in his hand." Now, this isn't literal advice. I mean, like, it can be if you are writing that kind of story, but basically what he means is sometimes you just have to stop thinking so hard and just put some action into your story. Interiority, or what your characters are thinking about the events and actions that are happening to them, is super important. Absolutely, I'm not denying that it is. But sometimes we can get so bogged down in our characters' internal thoughts that you can spend a lot of words just thinking about reactionary things instead of making something happen. And in a first draft, action is so important because it is what moves your story along. Brainstorm what this means for you. Maybe a literal man comes in with a gun. It's definitely an option. But it could be something unexpected, right? Like someone reveals a secret that they didn't mean to, or they hear a loud noise and they have to go investigate. Maybe there's a car crash or a fire alarm goes off, something that interrupts the status quo and makes something happen. Those are 5 writing exercises that will help you get out of a rut. Thank you all for joining me today, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye. If you notice that the lighting changed, no, you didn't. So the 5 hydrate or dihydrate. Everyone drink your water.